Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the NFL Bully the Board meeting. As always, it's your boys Kevin, Seth, and Steve with you. We got a lot to break down. Thanksgiving is come and gone. I am 5 pounds at least heavier, probably, but that's neither here nor there. Let's shed this weight, baby. Let's get right to it.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today, not today.
Very indulgent weekend indeed. Lots of football going on, lots of food, lots of drinking. I mean, it was a merry fucking time, let me tell you, boys. So happy to be back, happy to be with you. NFL is churning and burning. I mean, we were talking about it with the college podcast board meeting earlier. Like, that season's effectively over in a few weeks, and now 12 weeks into the NFL season, it is quickly approaching as well. So we are zooming and booming, baby. We are zooming and booming. So let's get right to it, boys. Why not, huh? So 12 weeks into the season, a lot. Let's do some AFC versus NFC kind of breakdowns here, and we'll get into some quarterback volatility as well here in a bit too. But just from these past weekends alone, maybe from the Thanksgiving weekends or not, how did you guys digest everything that took place, and what were anything that stood out for you guys in particular?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like doing this because, it's played out and, all the cool kids used to do this, but can I just hate on the Dallas Cowboys real quick? Because now it's happening again.
Yeah,
the Cowboys with another double-digit victory, another blowout win. This team's good. The Cowboys have not literally have not beaten anyone with a winning record this year. They've beat up on all bottom feeders the entire year. They're beat up on teams they're supposed to beat up on, and they lose to the teams that are good. So I don't want to hear this. It's our year. It's the comeback. It starts now. You guys are gonna lose in the first round of the playoffs, like you do almost every year you make it there. So I'm sorry. I just had to get that off my chest. Other than that, no real surprises. I will say the Miami game, I'm glad we stayed away on that on Black Friday. That was my Christmas gift. And I am saying I was a little shocked seeing the Packers with the Lions. That was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend. But Cowboy fans, enough. Can we just let's enough?
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that, because my big takeaway was Dallas is back, baby, and this is a really competitive team. This is a team that is defensively strangleholding their competition. Now, I understand your take here. When they play good teams, they haven't shown up, but we still got another 6 weeks, and Dak is playing well, and you can see where they're at in an EPA per play. Now, I will concede here, I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I'm not going to get delusional. You can get inflated EPAs per play by beating up on poor competition. And to your point, sounds like that's kind of what you're articulating and, what they've done in the past. But I don't want to ignore how efficient this offense can be. Now, can they get over the hump? Can they beat the good teams? We'll see in the next couple of weeks, right? They're going to have to play Philly. They're going to have to get there. But this defense is doing things we haven't seen in a historical way. So, yeah, it's funny you say that, because I kind of fool me once. I'm kind of back on the, I don't want to say bandwagon here, but I'm not ready to say that this is just a completely fugazi team and that can't upset teams. This team, if you in the right situation, could upset a good team, and I won't be shocked if they beat a Philadelphia team. We're going to talk about it. That's just had everything kind of go their way, and they're they're the one over here. They're Mr. Anderson. They just dodge bullet after bullet after bullet. So that was one of my biggest takeaways. And then, from the, you said the Green Bay and Detroit game, but who is Detroit? Because look at, if we can go to the full EPA per play power rating, like Detroit and Green Bay aren't that big of a difference. And what do you know? Your old friend, good defense, which we were told was fixed in the offseason. Well, they just keep getting worse defensively every week, which is what was their Achilles heel last year. So, are they actually better on defense? Because if they're going to be with the big dogs in the NFC or go far in the playoffs, like, they're going to have to get much better defensively.
Yeah, agreed. Can I just make one quick counterpoint to Seth's thing? And again, it's nothing against you, Seth. What you're saying is good. I just can you go back and
take it out on me. Troy Aikman's my god. Bring Dak back, or I mean, bring Zeke back.
I just from an offensive EPA standpoint, the two best teams that the Cowboys have beaten have been the Chargers, who you can see there, really good EPA per pass. So I will give you that. The rush leaves a lot to be desired, and arguably the best overall team in terms of being the quadrant elite was a Rams team with Brett Rippon playing towards the end of that game, and without Kyron Williams. So this is not me arguing with you. This is me arguing against all these Cowboys that you are embodying right now. Even though I know you're not a fan, it's just I have to let this anger out somewhere, and I'm sorry that I'm projecting that onto you. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. Look, I'm hand up here. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not ready to believe that they can't beat a good team. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
I am not. I don't have any opposition to your opinion that more than probable. What is the most probable outcome for the Dallas Cowboys? They continue to beat up on bad teams. Maybe they get away with beating the Eagles once in the regular season, but the minute we hit the playoffs, for all intent and purpose, they kind of just shit the bed.
Right.
That's who we've seen. It's hard to see a defense this solid and an offense this efficient that can't at least have a fighting chance. So
yeah,
because you're right. You're right. This team is too good to not do that. I completely agree with you. And I will let me be fair, just real quick, Kev. So not to cut you off. My last point is I want to be fair. We've seen the Dolphins kind of do the same thing, right? We've seen the Dolphins kind of really struggle against 500 and above teams. So it's not like the Cowboys are alone in this step. So I need a little bit of a olive branch there to yourself.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. All right. So I got 2 points. One on your guys' discussion. The Cowboys are going to play in the next 5 weeks all teams with a winning record here. Presumably, Buffalo right now is 6-6. In 2 weeks, presumably they'll have a winning record. I'm just forecasting here, right? But other than that, next 5 weeks, every single team has a winning record. So we're going to find out very quickly which one of you guys is right. Okay. Because I tend to agree with Steve a little bit here.
And now this number for Thursday Night Football is now at 9. I mean, is that too high, or do you, Steve, put Seattle is in this kind of lower tier team?
Oh, that's a good one. Seattle is one of those teams that, for whatever reason, I think that they are better than what they actually are. So I think the Cowboys are worse than they are. I think the Seahawks are better than what they are, and that's purely subjective. So, that's interesting to me, that move there.
Gino is turning back into a pumpkin, but it was at a different. It was more at 5 a.m. versus at midnight, in my opinion.
Playing with a little bit of house money, he let it ride a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we actually will talk about the model. I mean, the model put the number at 9, so shout out to the model. The market's now moved to 9. I was just curious, is Seattle a good team or not? Can you get data? Can you get data this week?
I put it like this, Seth. I think if you're looking at our EPA landscape, Seattle technically is not a good team, but in my mind, I would give the Cowboys credit for that win. I would. Okay. I would give them a good credit win for sure.
All right, fair.
Especially a cover, I would imagine, right? Covering the 9.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, Seth, if you think the Cowboys are back, I'll kind of play off that a little bit. How about the Broncos? I think the Broncos might be back. Okay. They never, back from when? I don't exactly know. They haven't really arrived this season yet, but they're finally
here.
They're finally here, maybe is the best way to say it. Okay.
Yeah.
But beating a obviously a DTR led Browns team, but beating that defense the way that they did, I think, was not to be undersold. Okay. They're figuring things out. The Sean Payton effect, sort of an unquantifiable thing, right? I think I've mentioned this a few times during the season, but I think is finally starting to pay some dividends. I think him and Russ are figuring each other out, and they're turning some heads a little bit, mine included. The rest of the way, the Cowboys playing so many teams with winning records. The Broncos are only going to play a team with a winning record 2 times. So this week against the Texans, 6-5, and then against the Lions, 8-3.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's against the Chargers, Patriots, Chargers again, and the Raiders. So this could be a team, if they continue to trend the right way, I mean, I know it's not reflected here on a per play basis, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and offensively they're measured to be basically average, but they're definitely trending in a positive direction, no doubt about it. So
and
this
they
could
have
be a team that's
they
just
have a
sneaking into the
huge
playoffs.
they have a huge albatross around their neck on the defensive EPA per play with that Miami game and all the plays in that game. So for them to now move on the full landscape
Mm-hmm.
from not being the worst defense to now moving above a couple of teams shows you how impressive that defensive showing was against the Browns. And I think that, to your point, we'll kind of continue to see them grow from there. From our standpoint, we're using a 15-game rolling average. So we're only a handful of weeks before, that second week game doesn't even exist in our sample.
Right.
And so it'll be really interesting to see how the model, continues to view that team. Now, we were on them last week. We were able to cover. So that was nice. We were on them once against Kansas City, not the time they won, the time before that. So we were a little bit early in calling this team, but the model has been picking up that, we were probably seeing a floor, right? And so I'm not necessarily now the teams they're beating. I'm surprised. I'll say that, but I don't know that I'm surprised that we saw the floor.
This is where I guess I gotta admit here. I know this is irrational. I know this is crazy, and I have no actual evidence for this. But besides the Chiefs win, I'm not really buying that this team is good. Now this team is getting better, unequivocally. You cannot argue this team is getting better. And that's proven both subjectively and objectively, in my opinion, right? Looking at subjectively from what they're feeling the play, objectively from where they're moving out on the landscape. But I kind of look at this and, they beat the Browns team with DCR, who like we literally said was dog shit going into that was on a TikTok video, right? Now give credit's due. That Browns defense, though, still pretty stout. See where they're at on the landscape, right? They had they beat the Vikings in a close game with Josh Dobbs coming from that kind of nuclear game against the Falcons, and how much of that was him kind of rolling in hot versus, is Josh Dobbs really re-seeing the real Josh Dobbs like we saw, against the Bears and that ugly game last night. And then the Bills, that's a team where that's an eyebrow raiser, but then you realize, half their defense was injured that game. That may be a little bit of exaggeration, but they came in very banged up on the defensive side. Now you got to play the game, no excuses. But I'm seeing these wins. Besides the Chiefs win, I'm seeing these wins where it's like, but they kind of have these things go their way that, I don't know if you play those games 10 times, how many times that happened. But now I will say, this is me being completely subjective. I cannot tell you why I don't believe them with anything more than what I just gave you, which I know is very weak evidence, but I'm going to be a Bronco hater for a couple more weeks. I'm sorry.
Well, the market agrees with you right now. Because this number opened at 3 and has moved to 3.5. I know that Right Angle Sports gave this out as a service pick for Houston -3. So they're saying in order to cover 3, win by at least 4, right? Or, so now the interesting thing, it hasn't moved through the 3.5. So if you believe Right Angle Sports, you should be betting that 3.5. I don't think that's a crazy take. Right. I think we're kind of also saying the same thing. Buying somebody on the floor doesn't mean they're good. It just means that they were as low as a team that with that talent and that level of quarterback and coaching should be. And to your point though, like the models picked that up. The model showed that there was value at the 7.5 versus the Bills. There was, because they won the game. We were a little bit early in calling the first Kansas City game, but the second one they obviously won. And then we were on them against the Browns. I forget, was there a 4th game in there? Yeah, I guess you said the Vikings. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vikings are a weird team. Are they good? Are they bad? And then how different are they with Josh Dobbs at the helm? I think that's very difficult to tease out right now. I don't disagree with anything you said, and I definitely would not put them as a good team. I think the reality is this is trending towards more of a closer to average team when they were kind of doing bottom tier stuff.
No, I love that take. Yeah, I think that's great. And I will say, now all that shit I just talked, I was ecstatic to see them having to take them against the Browns last week. That was probably my favorite bet of the week. So with all things due, but all things given credit where credit.
Yeah. I mean, the DTR thing was a big deal. I mean, rookie quarterbacks with few starts going against fairly or competent defenses can be a rough time. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it later. We got big boy. Who's starting at the Browns now? What's his name? I don't know.
Who's starting for the Browns?
Yeah,
PJ Walker?
No. Yeah, why
What?
did I blank? Joe Flacco, my guy. They got Joe Flacco starting this week, my guy.
No shit.
Shit, you not. That move from PJ to whatever Walker to Joe Flacco moved from 5 to 3.5. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, Joe Flacco at the helm.
Sheesh. Homie hasn't played in a minute. Okay, all right.
Let the man retire.
Hey man, money talks. Money talks.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. How about a little? Okay, because I mean, we don't have the career volatility up here, do we? I think we just have.
I don't.
That's fine because that'd be funny to break down Flacco for me.
I was looking. He started like 103 away games. He has one less start than Matthew Stafford does at home.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But Matthew Stafford is like still playing. Didn't just come off of a couch.
Yeah. So okay. Speaking of quarterback stuff, I want to talk about one guy in particular, but I want to, if you guys have others, we can get to him too. But the Bills and Josh Allen. So he has been for the past couple of weeks, because the Bills' record is what it is, 6-6. He has been sort of laid out in a lot of the public eye's viewpoint that he's this, like, he's being the scapegoat, right? He is like, oh, he's not good enough. He is the reason why they're failing, yada yada. This is just one little slice of the puzzle here, but when you actually measure how Allen is playing on a per play basis, he is still one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. He's top 5 in EPA per play. I mean, top 5 in success rate, like all these metrics, like, so it's not jiving with how the Bills are playing and what the outcomes of these games are. So I'm not quite on board. I don't understand all the Josh Allen hate, frankly. But I don't know. I want to get your guys' take on it because it's like he's the guy where the highs are really high, but then also the lows are also really low. Right?
Yeah, but even from a volatility standpoint, that isn't even supported by the data, which is interesting. Right. He's actually more even play to play than average. Yeah, I think I like doing this not full time, but as close as full time as you can get without us being fully professionals. Yeah, is just like trying to bet full time and then interact with the public is some of the most frustrating things because 99% of their takes are not informed by information. They're just observation. And quite frankly, they're poor observation at that. So, I mean, even if there were some good data, like I think that would be an upgrade. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of data that shows that Josh Allen is bad this season. And we've been talking about it. I mean, you can go look at some of the efficiency numbers from this team, and it's one of the best offenses. They've obviously trended down in the last couple of weeks, but let's take the first 6 games. This is a very efficient offense. So this is the opposite effect that we saw last year, in my opinion, with Minnesota, right? A team that is not good, but is winning games in the public's eye is a good team. And then a team that's good, that isn't winning games, they're bad, and Josh Allen should die. And, their offensive coordinator got fired, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. It's not data driven. It's not informed. It's just
you can see here the Bills are right behind. They're nestled right behind the Dolphins on the per play chart here. They're still a good offense.
And to your point, like Josh Allen's EPA per play is going to be highly correlated. It's going to be almost identical, or actually identical to the Bills EPA per play because he plays in every play, right? Presumably, right? Mm-hmm. He's the quarterback. So as Josh Allen goes, yes, but that again doesn't mean. I mean, we saw the wide receiver for the Bills. His name escapes me. Number 13 run the wrong route in the overtime game against. Yeah, Gabe Davis run the wrong route. If he wins. Or if he runs the right route, they win the game. The game's over. Boom. Yeah. There's no rebuttal. There's no nothing. There's no Jalen Hurts is the clutchest quarterback of all time, and all the narrative aspect of the NFL is really frustrating because it's not driven in data at all. And people do not understand the idea of variance. I think they don't understand how hard it is to do what Josh Allen does, play in and play out. I really do believe that.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that take stuff because you look at it and again we go back to the volatility chart and you see where Josh Allen is there planted in that quadrant of elite. And here's the thing: what more do you want from Josh Allen? I'm not a Bills fan here, but like you're getting what you signed up for. This guy has gone gone into each of the last 2 seasons, if not the favorite, a co-favorite or top 3 favorite to have the most interceptions and the most touchdowns, right? But that's what a gunslinger does. But wait a minute. If you're looking for a gunslinger, gunslingers have high volatility. Where's Josh Allen at? Right? Like you think of gunslingers, you think of Tua Tagovailoa. That's what you should expect to see with a gunslinger. High risk, high reward. But Josh Allen, the data just continue to show that he's really good. They're just not able to put these games together for whatever it may be. Maybe it's the defense being decimated. Maybe it's people running wrong routes, clutch mistakes and key points of the game. Yeah, and Allen has some blame. Don't get me wrong. He's not playing perfectly, but he's playing really damn good, well above average. And statistically, quadrant of elite. So, yeah, I'm with you. This narrative thing has gotten out of control. And this is a quarterback who I don't think really deserves the amount of blame he's getting. And I'm not even sure if the OC deserves the amount of blame that he's getting too.
Well, he got fired, so he's
someone's got to be this. Someone's got to be the scapegoat. Can't fire Josh Allen. Yeah.
Can I ask a question though? In the same division though, on the complete opposite scale, did anybody watch the Patriots Giants game? Because I heard Mac Jones got benched again, is what the reports are saying, but I didn't actually watch the game.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of the game plan, like that both of them were going to get playing time, and from my understanding, that's the game plan going in this week as well.
Yeah, and we've seen Belichick do that last year, right? Or a couple of years. What was it, 1 or 2 years ago? Whenever Bailey got to the league, like we've seen it a couple of times. Okay, but like what is happening there? I mean, you want to speak about actually what these quarterbacks are and aren't doing. I mean, you look at Mac Jones, you look at Bailey Zappi, unfortunately on an island of his own in a bad way, right? On the far left there. And then what's happening in New England and with that quarterback play? Because that is just absolutely abysmal.
It's fascinating because what appears to be evident is that Bill Belichick does know how to do jack shit with quarterbacks. And he got lucky as hell having Tom Brady on his team for all those years. So, I mean, fine, make the argument maybe Mac Jones isn't the guy. You could sell me on that. You could. I'm not saying Mac Jones has all this crazy potential, but he was trending in the right direction after his rookie season, right? And then you bring in Bill O'Brien, you do all these things
they went to the playoffs his rookie season.
Yeah.
To try to jumpstart him and have him take a couple steps forward, and it didn't work out. And whose fault is it really? I don't know. So to your point, Steve, I don't know what's going on there, but it's bad in all the worst ways possible.
Or is this Bill Belichick as a GM is really bad, right? Because this is the other thing I don't really know anybody here talking about. How good is this roster? We're just kind of taking for granted that it's actually a competitive roster. I mean, do we know that? I mean, we saw pretty much everybody on that wide receiver core leave after last season. There's not one recognizable name. They went and got Gesicki from, Miami after they cut him. Where are the weapons for Mac Jones versus where they were 2 years ago? I mean, they're not there. You can even point to last year. He had more weapons. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. It's hard to buy the third season saying, no, but Mac Jones had one good season. He's like, well, but the thing is, here we go again. Like, I can come up with pretty logical arguments for why. I mean, you go to the playoffs because you have kind of the pieces. Okay. Then second year, you basically hire literally a guy that doesn't know how to run an offense. That seems like a big mistake. Okay. Well, then that's obviously going to affect Mac Jones. Okay. Year 2, you go and get a good offensive coordinator. Okay, cool. Oh, but I forgot to get any weapons in my offense. So I have nobody to throw to, and I got, a subpar weapon. Well, that's also going to affect Mac Jones. So how competitive is this roster really? I mean, where is this team on an EPA per play on offense? Are they worse yet?
Yeah, they're bottom 3 on the pass.
I guess go one back more.
EPA per pass.
See where they're at completely. Yeah, I mean, they can't do anything.
Yeah,
they can. I mean, so Yeah, I don't
They're
know. I
not a
mean,
good
but
team.
if you're rebuilding, you can definitely trade Mac Jones. Somebody would trade for Mac Jones, don't you think? Somebody would definitely trade for Bill Belichick.
You can get something, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You can get some coin.
if you fire Bill Belichick, I think you're dumb. The best thing you could have learned from Bill Belichick was to get value from something that other people perceive for value.
Does he
you don't
trade
perceive value.
himself? Like, how does that
No,
work?
no, no.
Like,
But if you're the owner, if you're Robert Kraft, like that's you. If you do not trade, if you just fire him and you do not trade him, you learn
right.
nothing. Because
Yeah.
I
that's
guess
one
what
of
I'm
the
saying
biggest
is, who does
lessons.
that negotiating? Like, is Robert Kraft negotiating with some other GM when Bill Belichick's effectively the de facto GM?
I don't know how it would work, but I mean, it's happened. We have multiple examples, right? I mean, it happened just this season.
Yeah. Right.
Gruden got traded a couple of years ago, or like many years ago. Did he get traded from Raiders to Tampa Bay or Tampa Bay to the Raiders?
Well, he was a coach at that point. He wasn't. I mean, he wasn't also the GM type of thing, was he?
Oh well, no. So he'd have to get fired as the GM. But I don't know how that works. Like,
Yeah,
I think his contract probably isn't different. Like, he just does two jobs. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing there. Can we go back to the EPA landscape though? I got more takes to get off here. I'm hopping back on the horse of the LA Rams. I mean, I cannot stop going to the well here with Matt Stafford. When Matt Stafford is starting and those guys are healthy, man, this is a good friggin' team. Someone's got to get that wild card. You cannot tell me you're not afraid to play that team. A healthy Rams team in the playoffs. Tell me I'm crazy.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna have to pump the brakes on you just a little bit. I think recency bias is kind of slapping you in the face a little bit. They are coming off of a good win, but they are coming off of a good win from an absolute piss poor Cardinals team. Okay, I would put very little stock, if I were you, into what anybody does against the Cardinals, no matter how impressive it may look.
Okay.
Now to your point, if they are healthy, if they can stay healthy, big if, right? But there is some meat on that bone. I mean, they can be a dangerous team. And to the earlier point about the Seahawks, like, how good are they really? Like, they're in a wild card spot right now, but they're big dogs this weekend going into Dallas. And how is Geno going to continue to slide down the scale, continue to turn into a pumpkin, right? Metaphorically.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Rams have an interesting schedule. They play the Browns this weekend and then the Ravens. So kind of two tough back-to-back defenses. Yeah. But then the rest of the way, it's Commanders, Saints, and Giants. And they finish off with the 49ers, who perhaps at that point, last game of the season, Niners maybe aren't playing for anything, seeding or otherwise. So that could be a playing backups game, and the Rams' opportunity to sneak in to the back door. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll have to look up some value tickets on Rams to win the play or Rams to make the playoffs. That's probably the best bet. Like, obviously we can do the double dip methodology for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, but like, I'm sure those tickets are like plus 10,000 or something, but like, how effectively are they actually going to get priced? Probably not very.
Right. And I guess just to kind of laugh in my own face about it, like when we talked about it a few weeks ago, I was sold. So I sprinkled a little bit. I took a couple of LA Rams futures double dip methodology for them to win the NFC.
Oh, shoot.
So basically a half a unit, and it was down to like 20% value before last week. They beat the Cardinals. I can almost cash out for even money now.
Okay. See, it's a wild ride, my friend.
It's a whoo-wee.
I got two futures for the Raiders. Those are worth 4% of their initial value. So
let's go.
I'm holding though, baby. I'm holding. I ain't selling. Can we talk about the Falcons and how they're not going to cover 8.5 wins and they're not going to win the NFC the South?
We can talk about it. I'm not sure if I believe that, but let's go. What do you got for me?
I mean, Ritter is back, baby, and he ain't doing shit. This team, they beat up. Like, the Saints were the better team in that game, and it took them literally losing every single one of their wide receivers and one of their best defensive players for Ritter to have a coming out party. And also the Falcons scored a pick six in that game.
Right.
I mean, the Falcons are deathly afraid of Ritter. They don't let him do nearly like they don't let him do anything in that offense, which is weird too, because they also don't let Bijan do anything either. They finally kind of unleashed him this week, which is really interesting. But even down the stretch, they were running Algier. Like, this team makes no sense to me. That whole conference makes no sense, or division makes no sense. But like this Atlanta team is just so uncomfortable to back. Has the model even had us back them at all this season? I don't think we've
bet on them. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can remember. Yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. So speaking of backing, let's run an exercise, right? So
let's
Atlanta's 5-6. All right. Now I'm not going to speak to the division winner, right? I think you have fair. You know, some legs there with the Saints and see what they look like and what their healths look like. But you have Atlanta with 5 wins. Can Atlanta win 4 games the rest of the season against the Jets?
Yes, I think they can win against the Jets.
Yeah. Okay.
The Jets have really good defense, though. Like, they can definitely get 2 pick sixes and win this game for no reason because Ritter's that bad. Oh, yeah, by the way, then they know that, so they're not going to, they're going to throw the ball 15 times, and then this is going to be like a 9 to hopefully 6 win. But, okay, I'll give it to you, but it's even the market is saying that's only a 2.5 point spread.
Right.
Which is, the market ain't buying the 3.
All right, so 9-6 Falcons. All right, we got next.
Fair enough. Okay, that's 1 win.
Falcons versus Bucks.
I think that's just like the toilet bowl, but let's just say Bucks.
I know. Oh, listen, none of these are going to be pretty. Let me tell you right now.
Buckle up. Okay. So I say Bucks win that one.
Okay. All right, and I would agree with that. Falcons versus Panthers.
Well, fire head coach now, which sidebar real quick, eerily similar situation to last year. They fire their coach. We're like, oh, we got this is the best thing ever. I think literally if they lose the next game, they can't cover.
They can't. They cashed the under 6.5 already.
Oh, it already is cashed. Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't even. Okay.
Or under 6. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, never mind then. But it feels eerily similar to last year, even though we can't lose. It feels like we still could. Okay. I don't know, but I'll give it to you just because Carolina. I mean, what evidence do we have that Carolina would turn the corner?
Sure. All right, so that's 2. We got the Colts.
I don't know. The Colts are frisky.
Colts are frisky. They're in the playoff hunt. So is he getting that a loss?
I think that's going to be a less than a field goal game, one way or the other. So can we come back to it?
Sure. That's fair. The Bears.
I don't know. That Bears defense looked damn good last night.
Montez Sweat shut out.
And then you got the Saints. The last game of the season for the division.
So. Well, if the Saints have a wide receiver core, I think the Saints win that game.
If.
Fair.
So Olave's hurt. Thomas is arrested.
Wow. That's
Thomas is in the IR.
Yeah.
Their other guy hurt his eye. I think they barely get 3 or 4 wins. It's going to come down to last week.
It's going to be close. So all I'm saying is it's got a chance. That's all I'm asking.
It does have a chance, but
all right.
This team, why did they not do anything at the trade deadline? What are we talking about?
I don't think they know.
Jimmy G on Atlanta. You're telling me we're not in a situation thinking, wow, that's a pretty good move. No? Or no? Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
At that point, maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't fully there with the realization that Ritter is not indeed.
Well, they're still not there because they decided to go back to Ritter, so they're not. They're still not there.
That's what I'm saying. They're just confused, man. They got a crisis identity, is what they have.
They got a Desmond Ritter issue. That's what they got. This guy sucks.
They do.
Literally, Alabama beat the winning out of this kid. Like, he lost to Alabama, and he's never been good since. It's like the Monstars.
He's not the only victim, yeah. He's probably not the only victim of that phenomenon.
Yeah, probably.
All right. How about it? Shall we jump forward a little bit here? Let's look. So 3-2 on the week. They're bringing the year to date to 26-21-1. So back in the green, back in the win column for the weekend after 2 losing weeks, and frankly, two pretty bad variance-driven weeks. I'll call it. So 3-2 overall. Rams was pretty much not a sweat. Broncos for the most part, not a sweat either. Saints, we just kind of broke that down. Like if the wide receiver core didn't get knocked out in that game, and who knows, that could have been a different outcome for sure. The Jets, glad we stayed away from it. Yeah, that just had uncertainty written all over it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Niners again, was like a 96-yard pick six. Like that was like the most embarrassing.
Yeah, at the
watching that in real time, I'm like, he's going to return this. Oh yeah, he's going to return this because the Jets are the dumbest. Like, how do you not see this coming? Like, what do you think? They're just like, yeah, we don't like points.
Niners, I wouldn't say sweat free, but I didn't get to watch too much that game on Thanksgiving. But they covered, and then the Bucks.
Okay, I gotta talk about this Bucks game,
please.
I'm not gonna complain because we've improved our process. Things are going. We've had positive variance in our direction. But I do want to point this out. Baker Mayfield on the first drive of the game goes down the field, methodical, first down after first down, literally gets it completion down to like the 1 yard line. And first and goal, they sneak it, and Baker goes down with an injury. If Baker does not get injured on that play, they score a touchdown on that play, and that changes the dynamic for the rest of the game. And I think it's a high probability we cover. Because instead of kicking the field goal, they would have went for it, in my opinion, and it would have been more of a variance of covering on that play or not covering on that play. But because they ended up being down by 10 because they got a field goal, that changed the dynamic a lot. So that one play, honestly, was a huge butterfly effect for how this kind of game ended up going, which is unfortunate. And I don't want to call it a bad beat because it's not a bad beat, but I think the model was picking up more close to what that game could have been versus what the outcome was.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I mean, I didn't get to watch that game much either, but yeah, first drive for that to happen. If he was hampered in any way, the rest of the way.
Well, he hit him out, or like he came back.
But he came back in, right?
Yeah, but for the second, third downs, they had Kyle Trask in, and he was not. He sucked. So then they end up kicking a field goal. So instead of being up 7-0, they're up 3-0, and that changes the dynamic. Therefore, for the rest of the game, and it is what it is. We'll take the wins when we get a profitable week. Happy to be back. Exactly right. Thank God. It was giving me the yips, man. It was, I had 2022 vibes. I'm like, oh man, we can't get back. I mean, we have still been seeing closing line value, so it's not like, this is when you got to come back to the fundamentals, and that was a really good exercise for me. Like, okay, because 2 years ago or last season, like we were really, or I'll speak for myself, I was very much figuring out all these things. We weren't even talking about closing line value. We didn't even know that that's a thing. We weren't even like looking at that. Sure. So now that we kind of know, okay, what are the things you should be seeing for you to know you have an edge? Like, let's start there rather than just believing your own hype. But like, if you're seeing, things like closing line value, these are good signals that you should keep betting. It's not, you're not going to probably be wrong in the long haul if you're seeing closing line value. If you're not seeing closing line value though, well, then maybe you need to go back to the drawing board. So, we stuck with the fundamentals. Yeah. And we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, we will. But, hey, according to some wise minds out there, 60% win rate should be the floor. So we are certainly
that's true.
Yeah. We are
well, that individual said that he also does a model for pay. And I said, yeah, that's great. Can you please send me the link? I would love to sign up. So still waiting on that link. I haven't seen anything. Would really love to. And actually, we don't do this, but we will shout you out for free on the Bully the Board TikTok. If you go ahead and send us the link, we'll send a bunch of people your way. So just let us know that link and how we can sign up, and we will definitely do that.
Yeah. 16,000 followers. Yeah.
Anonymous. Shout out to anonymous users on TikTok for sure.
Yes. Shout out to you guys.
All right. How about it though? Week 13, baby. Lucky 13. I'm feeling a type of way about this slate. So let's break it down real quick here. So, Steve, I I don't know if you have the picks page up in front of you, if you want to run down all of them real quick, because I think some of the numbers that we have up here are different than where we got them at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's two major ones.
So I want to make sure we get the numbers that we got versus what we're showing here.
Oh, absolutely. All right, here we go. So for NFL Week 13, we've got Cardinals plus 6.5, 49ers -1, Bengals plus 7.5, Chiefs -6.5, and Saints 3.5 or 4. Question mark on that. Waiting to see what happens with Chris Olave and some of the other receivers there. But right now, the solidified bets with no sort of issues right now. Cards plus 6.5, 49ers -1, Bengals plus 7.5, Chiefs -6.5 for -113.
Yep. All right. Cool. So let's kind of break these down a little bit here, game by game, if you will. So Niners and Eagles here. So our number says it's 3. Spread opened at 2. We got it at -1. This has now been bought back up to
3,
-2.5 and 3 in a lot of places now too. So
3s across every market.
3s across the board now. All right, shout out.
Shout out to DraftKings. FU. They won't take any of my bets anymore, so I can't get my money down. They do have a 2.5. All of the market makers have a 3. You're right though. You can get a 2.5 at DraftKings and FanDuel, but market makers all 3s.
Yeah,
good to see
all
this.
Right,
this is a great signal. Now it hasn't closed there, but assuming this holds, that's what we saw. I mean that one, it only was up for a little bit. And shout out DraftKings, they were one of the dumb books to have the one. They wouldn't take my bet, but we were able to get down elsewhere. But yeah, 1 was too many. We made this number 3, just too much value, way too much value.
Yeah, sure. I've already heard some talking heads. Maybe you guys have too, about like, I don't know how is this such a close spread? The Eagles should be favored by a touchdown or more against this team, whatever. Just hyping up the Eagles, right? But when you model this out, when you compare these teams side by side, I mean, just on the information stats that go into our model, you can see how the Niners are measured to be, in many cases, frankly, a better team on a per play basis than the Eagles are.
Way better. Well, I mean, look at that echo rate. I mean, that echo rate is so impressive, but so honestly is the Eagles. I don't know. The Eagles do feel like Mr. Anderson just dodging every single bullet. I mean, I don't know how they made it out of that Bills game alive.
I heard a take, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm like, oh damn, that's spicy. But the 2023 Eagles are the 2022 Vikings. And if you know where I'm going with this, then that's a pretty spicy take, don't you think?
Yeah, but actually, now that you say that, if you go back to the EPA per play landscape, this team is a below defensive EPA per play, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they've now moved out of the quadrant of elite and into the quadrant of good offense, bad defense. Like, this is good nowhere near as dominant as they were.
Offensively, kind of no question. Like Jalen Hurts and coast.
Really good offense.
But their defensively, defensively, you can see it. And that's kind of where we've talked about that a few times throughout the course of the year. Like, their defense, for as hyped up as it has been with all the players that they brought in through the draft, free agency, etc. Yeah, not.
And they lost a lot in free agency in their secondary. I mean, this was completely rebuild. They also got, obviously new coordinators. I don't know. I love this bet. When I saw it before the model even ran, I was like, please, like, there's enough there not going through the field goal. Like, and sure enough, like, I think this is a good bet. And then, look, I say it all the time, not an angle guy, but the whole revenge from last season and what happened in the playoffs. This is in Philly. Sure. Like, I don't know who the talking head that you said, but like, I wish I could take their money, because I would be being like 2-1, 3-1, please. Yeah. Eagles, I'll take you, 49ers -7, because I think it can get out of hand just from that angle of they're not going to let off the pedal because they have something to prove here from that. But I think just even removing that, I think this is a good bet at -1.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the ones where I feel if 2 years ago, before we started this, you gave me this matchup, going through, I'm like, oh, well, the Eagles are good, the Niners are good, but I got to take the Eagles here easily. This is one of the ones where, we looking at all the EPA stuff, looking at the model inputs, like this is one where I feel smart. I feel smart saying, I agree with you, Seth. I think this is still a matchup between two great teams, but the Niners are the better team here. And I feel completely confident in -1, -2, -2.5. Again, past the 3, it gets a little less confident, but I'm still feeling pretty good. Give me Niners in a possession game. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I think we're going to really see the clock strike midnight for Philly, and I love what Philly's doing this year. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, this is a game where I see a lot of people are completely misplaying this, but Niners are definitely the better team here, and I think that's going to show.
Yeah, and you can see where our 15-game rolling average there from defensively, we're giving Eagles a little bit of credit here for who they were last year, right? This is bolstering their number. You can see where the 2023 number is, where we just talked about this team is actually like below average. Even that being said, where we're still kind of using this prior number saying, hey, this is kind of what the team could be. It's it's still like 49ers. So I love this pick. I will go down with the ship because I think it's a good bet.
Yeah. And good to see the market agreeing with us on this one.
Yeah.
So
Heavily too. Heavily.
Yeah.
For sure.
Be interesting to see if this closes at 3. What do I mean? What I guess we would really like a slam dunk signal for us would if it closed at 3.5, that would be like a 10% CLV or something like that. I mean, to get a 1 and then it goes through the 2.5 and then through the 3 would be huge.
Huge.
This
Bigly.
one makes no sense to me. The market is confusing me.
So okay, I'm glad you said that because so Chiefs and Packers, baby. Our number says 8. Spread opened at 7. This is now at 6.5 on across the board at most markets. There's even a 6 now, man. Can't keep up with this shit. It's moving quickly. Then, what do you know? Good old DraftKings hanging a 6. Shout out. Okay, so
bet it. So it don't matter.
Yeah, I guess. All right, you teased it. So fill us in, Seth. Why does this one not make sense?
I mean, I'm like speechless. Like, how are the Green Bay Packers only a 1 possession team or a less than a touchdown worse than the Kansas City Chiefs? Especially when the Kansas City Chiefs are dominating teams defensively and offensively, which is a new way that they are dominating teams. And how have the Green Bay Packers won games? It is through going up against really mediocre defenses that allow them to see success. I don't think we're going to see that here. And that's if we see a mediocre showing for Kansas City Chiefs offense that only needs a score, 21 points here. Like, I think the Chiefs can easily hold the Packers to less than 14 or 14. So that's where I'm a little perplexed here. I mean, if we look at the defensive numbers here for the last 15 games, we see how good the Chiefs are this season versus where the Packers are. And then offensively, they're in a different league. They're almost damn near 7 points better than them just offensively. So I don't know. And then if we look at, things like offensive success rate, we have, it lays in the direction of the Chiefs. If we look at echo rate, it's in the direction of the Chiefs. That's not surprising. If we look at the red zone success rate, we see that they're much more successful. And then the Packers, they're converting third downs a little bit more. But, I mean, those are almost identical, so there's no real difference there. I think getting Chiefs here at 1 possession is just a bargain. And also, look at that career EPA difference for quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Jordan Love versus Chiefs. This is the other thing. You have Patrick Mahomes at the helm. This guy wins. I mean, they were down 14 last week. They still covered a 10-point spread.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you kind of top to bottom here on this one. I don't understand what the market is pricing in here or how the market is deriving this one. I don't know. I mean, at some point, can you really expect the Chiefs to cover every single week? I don't know. No. And then they haven't. They don't. They're not covering machines per se or anything. But like we've seen a lot. I think we've been on the Chiefs a couple of times this season, I believe. But you take what they've been doing this season. It's I don't know how to quantify this or how to say this succinctly, but everyone is due at some point in the season for not a letdown. I don't think the Packers are going to beat the Chiefs. Don't get me wrong here, but like in a weird game in Lambeau, Chiefs are coming off of a come from behind victory again, right? Like another for whatever unquantifiable reason, some sort of emotional letdown spot that somehow the market is baking in. I don't know. It's just I can't figure it out otherwise.
If you look at things that are like not, like a big driver for our model where it derives at least 4 to 5% of its value is who the quarterback is. And so, I mean, if you look at just some of the raw statistics, specifically echo rate and offensive success rate, these teams are not that dissimilar. So I think if you're only going off those things, I can definitely see a number that's less than 7. Maybe make the number 5 or maybe 6, and that's why you're buying up a bunch of 6.5s. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, when you can see where this opened up at kind of no value. Once it starts moving through that 6.5 and that one possession game for the Chiefs, I mean, there's going to pretty much always be value on them because the probability that you can cover a one possession team, especially for these medium to lower tier teams, is going to be higher. You're going to cover more than not.
Right.
Yeah. And I will say, from that sort of gut subjective feeling, that you're talking about, Kev, I definitely have been there before, but I would argue back and say this: the Chiefs do have a letdown game a year, right? There's always one game a year where the Chiefs blow a game, or they don't cover a game, or they lose outright, something to a team they shouldn't have. And I think they've gotten that out the way with Denver already, right? Now everyone's talking about, this receiving core, it's not the same. We're seeing these clips of MVS dropping game-winning balls here. Who's going to step up? It's going to be Sky Moore. Travis Kelce kind of had a little bit of a fumble of a game, but I think those are things that are a lot more hard to reproduce than them covering against teams where they have a pretty defining edge against both in quarterback play on the defensive side of the ball. So to me, this feels very comfortable giving, or, for it going through that 7, being down 6.5 to 6. I just wonder if this is an overreaction, right? I wonder if this is an overreaction to what we saw against, they lost to the Eagles, a good team, when in reality, they should have won that game, just like we talked about earlier.
Sure. And,
coming back from the Raiders, like, oh, well, are they not as good because, the Raiders held them down, when the Raiders are a team that's on the uptick and we've seen them go back and just beat them, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure I can really understand this. I can get it opening at 7. I can get it fluttering around 6.5 to 7.5, but getting bought down to 6, I don't get it, man. I don't.
Sure.
We're still early. We're still early.
We are, yeah. If the Chiefs can live up to their red zone success rates, who they've been, I think we'll be in good shape with this one. But if they're going to set up for field goals, then that's where some weird fluke shit might happen with this one. So
yeah,
we'll see. All right. Next one on the slate: Bengals and Jaguars. Our number says it's 6, and the market opened at 7.5. But we got it again at sorry, Steve, what we say, 8.5.
I think we gave it out at 7.5.
Did we?
Yeah,
okay.
7.5. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. So we got a Bengals officially 7.5. Yeah, this is another one where somebody needs to make me feel good about this one, frankly. Because
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Kev.
No, I was gonna say, well, obviously Burrow out, and I mean we've seen, I mean, small sample size, but we've seen their backup at Browning or Downing. I forget the guy's name, but
Browning, Pac-12 quarterback. Watch it. Show some respect.
Put some respect on the name. Huh? Well, when he earns the respect, then I'll put it on his name. But the fact that I can't get it right, I mean, I think should be some sort of a signal that he ain't showing out, right? So he's obviously not a world beater as a backup, and don't expect him to be. But what are you guys seeing from this team, or what are you guys picking up from what the model is outputting that gives you comfort in this one? Because this one gives me the yips.
Yeah, and I think it should. I mean, this is a scary bet. I'm not gonna lie. And the market is a bit confused. There's a 9, a 7.5, and an 8 all at the market makers.
You don't see that too often. That's pretty. That's
No,
pretty
not
interesting.
really. I wish I could walk you off the ledge here. It is scary. I think unfortunately this is a combination of tough to model quarterbacks with few starts, and I think that's why you don't see consensus number in the market. But you still have the remnants of a good team in the Bengals. But the problem is their defense has also started to kind of taking a step back. So yeah, it is not the best. It's an ugly spot. I don't have a lot of indulgences for you here.
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish up.
I was just gonna say. I mean, we've played this game out a few times over the course of the years, right? Where it's like, God damn, why are we bet on this? Well, there's value where there's value, right? You don't argue that point, and this is for me one of those spots for sure where I'm like, I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole otherwise if this was not modeled out, right?
Agree.
So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, maybe you got to walk me on. You have to walk me on the ledge because I love this bet. I love this all the way through. I love 7.5. That is sexy as hell to me. Now, so let me ask you. So I think we talked about this before, but can you refresh the viewers' memories and refresh mine? Right. So when we are less than 6 starting games, home and away, or each home, each away. These rookie quarterbacks are essentially one kind of conglomerate blob, right?
Yeah,
Is that how the model views them?
Yeah, the model says this is use the glump all these guys starts together when they have less than 6, and that's what we use as the point estimate for what a rookie looks like. Basically, if that makes any sense. So so the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, for all intent and purpose, is a rookie quarterback. Whatever that median effect is.
Yeah, and so what you're doing here is you're banking on a median quarterback to have a median offense and keep it a 1-score game, essentially. 7 against the Jaguars team, who, quite frankly, I have not been very impressed by. Like we talked about this before, starting off slow, kind of getting the rules back, getting the shit beat out of them by the 49ers. And again, they've had some good wins. I'm not saying the Jaguars team is bad. They're the leaders of the AFC South, right? But with that being said, this Bengals team is not all of a sudden chop liver, right? I mean, I think what you're seeing here is a less severe effect of what's happening in Cleveland, where you are still seeing the Browns be competitive in some games with really poor, probably sub-median play compared to what a rookie is in DTR. And I see you have Jake Browning. You have all the reason to believe that he has a chance to be just average, and that's really all you need. Because if you can have an average rookie quarterback, you have a chance of 7.5. And I buy that narrative. I buy that model output. I don't think this team is going to have someone that's going to have a significant drop-off. Yes, they had a dud against Pittsburgh. First start, it wasn't a fairy tale start. Completely understand that. But Jake Browning seems to be, I can buy that he can be a median quarterback. Now, to be fair, I have no more than that than what he's done in Washington, and it's 1 start. So I might take him to
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point that I didn't even think about here, but both Higgins and Taylor Britt were missed that last game, so it was just Chase. If you can get both of those guys back, that's even more weapons here to make this kind of, let's say, average offense in the Bengals. Let them go, as average goes. So I think that's a key point, and probably a key signal we'll want to see. And I bet you if we see those guys get confirmed in the lineup, we'll see this thing probably coming right around 8. There's not a whole lot of difference between the 7 and the 8, to be honest. From the plus side there. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is one where you just trust the model is picking up. Now, that being said, you could totally convince yourself to not bet this. Why? Because again, you're modeling out this really difficult thing of not having much quarterback data. And that's always tricky and always adds a bunch of noise. If the reason we do what we do is because we find that noise doesn't outweigh, or the signal outweighs the noise when we do it in this way. So there's a little bit of faith there, but if you can consistently rule out these matchups, that could be a really great way to improve your win rate as well. This one seems like it would be an emotional reason for ruling it out. It doesn't seem like it'd be a data driven. If you look at the data here, the Bengals are the better team. on offense, and they're a little bit worse defensively. They're very similar offensively, success rate, and then a little bit worse equal rate. So, this to me looks like a one possession matchup. So I'm not surprised the model finds that. But yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. I mean, this doesn't feel good at all. This is not a sexy pick.
Sure. Well, I hate to do it to you then, because for me, this is 2 in a row for me. So this is another
then sign me up.
Incredibly unsexy pick for me.
This is too many points. Are you kidding me? Steelers, all of a sudden, they go with a fire Matt Canada. They get 400 yards, but they score 16 points. 16 points against the defense we just covered is not actually very good in Cincinnati. How you think the Cardinals should be getting 8, 9, 10, 20?
Yeah, probably 8 or 9 is probably fair in my book. So yeah, our number says it's 2. Spread open at 6.5. That's the number we got it at 6.5. It's been bought back down to about 5.5 now across the retail books.
They gave up 13 to DTR. You're telling me that Kyler can't have more success than that?
I am telling you that it seems unlikely that Kyler is going to have more success than that. What I think the market and what I think the model, certainly our model, is not able to pick up is that you have Kyler and he has enough stats and starts under his belt to model out, but it doesn't know that he's still working his way back from a knee injury. He's less effective than he has been in the past. The offense that they're rolling out for him is very strange, very confusing to me. The first 10 or so quote unquote scripted plays of the game, each of the weeks that he's been back, have been good. They've looked good. They've been very effective on opening drives. After that, it's like they hit a metaphorical brick wall. And this is actually something that sort of plagued him and this team even prior to his injury. I don't know how to quantify it, but I do not think that the market is accurately accounting for the fact that Murray and this offense are still not on the same page. And to your point about the Steelers, yeah, all right, one week new offensive coordinator. I don't expect him to blow people out the water, but another one of those things that I think the market is not accurately baking in here, that I think the further along we get and the more, I guess, comfortable, to use a word, that the players and Pickett, et cetera, are going to be with the new play caller and the philosophy, et cetera, you're going to continue to see them outperform what they have been to this point in the season. So no, I don't think 6.5 is enough. I think it should be 8.5. And I hate
But by that logic, you would want to make the same argument for Kyler getting more comfortable in this new system, right? Every week that he proceeds and gets to operate in that system, he should also get more efficient. Wouldn't you agree? Now, I'm not saying that has to be this week. I'm just saying, using the same logic. I hear what you're saying. You give Kenny more time in this new system. He's more efficient. You see more success. Okay, I can buy that. But I think then you have to fairly argue that for Kyler being in a new system as well. Just as much as Kenny will improve, you would hope you would see that for Kyler.
Fair point, yeah. And the only somewhat counterpoint I could bring back to that is the difference there is that one is coming off an injury still, and the other one's not. But
one's probably mentally injured from all the Matt Canada plays over the last season. But I don't know.
Residuals, yeah. So I hate this one.
I love this bet. I can't this is as low as 4.5 at Pinnacle.
Right. Which does, I mean, again, just maybe I'm letting my fandom sort of, being quote unquote, seeing close to the team and seeing them play every week is affecting my judgment on this one here. But yeah, I hate this one.
I mean, efficient market hypothesis, but at this point we are not close, right? So the more mature, maybe more mature money agrees with you, Kevin. But at this point in the market, people are buying up the 6.5s.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Are the Houston Texans a median team in your opinion?
Yes.
They covered the 6.5 against that team. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers median, or in my opinion worse, but are they at least median?
Now you got me. Now you're setting me up here. Yeah, but I mean, to this point,
Your Honor, I rest my case. That's all I got to say.
Right. Exactly right. So, yeah, I don't know. I just can't get down with it. But again, nonetheless, You model out value. So you got to do what you got to do. But I will begrudgingly be on the Cardinals plus 6.5 this week.
Okay.
So
yeah, no, I like this bet too. I think the classic, who hurt you? But we know the answer. We know the answer is the Cardinals.
Yeah,
clearly. But yeah, no, I mean, I think you're going to see Kyler again continue to get comfortable. Now, yeah, he definitely had the bump in the road against the Rams last week, but this guy, to your point about the injury, Kev, it's not like they've been, babying him. He's ran for, he had 5.5 yards average rush 2 weeks ago. I think 7.2 average rush 3 weeks ago, something like that. So he's running the ball, 5 to 10 times a game, getting 50 to 75 yards on the ground. So he's out there and moving. So I think you're going to see the Kyler we're seeing. I think is getting pretty close to a true healthy Kyler. So I'm excited to see what this game goes out. But I like 6.5. I actually couldn't get 6.5. I actually messed up, and I bought the 6, and I still feel comfortable with that.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you're both right.
Judgment. All right. Yeah, we'll see.
Fuck
us. The market's got us here.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, we're on the right side of this one again. So, you take that. You take that and run to the bank every day that ends in Y, right?
Yeah.
Oof. All right. Well, one of those weeks. We
there's one other we didn't talk about. I left it off specifically because it was Detroit versus the Saints, and our model shows value, but we're not going to bet this more than likely because this is not an exaggeration. The New Orleans Saints are quite highly probable to have their wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 out of this game. So it's very difficult to assume you're going to see anywhere near the offensive efficiency you would normally see. That's a pretty big systematic difference in a team. So I don't think that's going to change. I won't be surprised if this number just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. As far as backing the Lions, but assuming you get maybe some information or some news, Chris Olave's in a concussion protocol. Him coming back, I think, would be somewhat news, but to be honest, I don't think it's enough. You're probably down just too much there. So I don't think in pretty much any condition it's going to be a bet that we will make.
Yeah, too much production being lost, right?
Yeah.
And who's replacing them?
Yeah.
Question marks. So
yeah.
All right, boys. It's gonna be an interesting week for sure. I don't feel particularly great about the model predictions, but like I said, we've been there many times before and been proven wrong. So
yeah, actually, you know what he's doing though, and I appreciate this. Yeah, this is the classic reverse Kevin jinx. For those guys you don't know, Kevin is notorious for his jinx. When he says we got a game. So this is the reverse jinx. And Kevin, thank you for your service.
I think we go 3-1.
3-1 weekend. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals cover.
The loss. Oh,
I think the Cardinals cover. I think the 49ers cover, and I think the Chiefs cover, and I think the Bengals sell us on Monday night.
All right. Any day that ends in Y, like I said, I will take that and run to the bank, baby. So all good, boys. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. It's been fun. We'll be back again next week, as always. Until then, good luck. We'll see y'all next week.